I tell them suckers to move. I ain't in the mood. Got me with the crew, let me do what I do. I tell them suckers to poof. Got me in the booth, lobby in the truth. Let me do what I do. Yeah, remember when the U come through, enter the music jungle. Or back with the block, I used to rock, I used to fumble. I still rock down, drop the ball when I want to. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Manny.
My name's Alberto.
And you're tuned into the OnlyFights podcast.
Episode 34.
Yes, sir.
What's up, man? How's your weekend?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I got to witness a whole lot of action, actually.
Hell yeah.
I didn't, I wasn't really paying too much attention to a lot of what was going on this weekend, especially on the boxing side, because respectfully, it didn't seem to be much going on. I was kind of proven wrong, though, man. Had some pretty good action. Starting with Shobox, on Friday. You had Ardreal Holmes taking on Vernon Brown. Also, Edwin De Los Santos making his return against Luis Acosta.
Nice.
Upcoming unbeaten guy. And kicking off the event, Raul Marquez, his son, is making his debut, or made his debut, Giovanni Marquez against Nelson Morales. It's a pretty good fight, 4-round fight. It went the distance. Not the best opening round for Marquez, opening round of his career, but definitely heated things up in the last 3 rounds and did what he had to do to take the victory. So, starts off his career on Shobox. Much like Gary Russell, Terrell Gausha, who I think has a fight coming up, Marcus Brown, Errol Spence, guys like that. So, yeah, good win for him. Landing a lot of hard shots. Didn't get the knockout or anything, but fun to see where he's gonna go. I think he's gonna campaign at 140.
Nice.
So, second fight. Co-main, only 3 fights in the Shobox that was televised anyways. Yo, it was kind of messed up. They were talking about this guy, Acosta, and, really, I don't know if they were making him the favorite or what, but, they put him up against this guy, Edwin De Los Santos, who is a good fighter, real good fighter.
Yeah.
He's 14, he was coming in 13-1 with 13 KOs, and that one loss was coming from William Foster III in his last fight. It was a split decision loss that was very debatable. It was a really close fight.
Yeah.
So, you could argue that the dude was undefeated with almost all knockouts. And they put this dude, they put him in with him, and It was not a good idea. I looked at Acosta's record on BoxRec, and everybody he fought had a really bad losing record.
Damn.
Like he did not fight anybody with a winning record, and to put them up against to put him up against this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He got set up.
He got set up, man. Set up with what was it? A left hand. Dropped some. And it what looked like a flash knockdown. I was like, referee just immediately calls the fight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it kind of looked like a flash knockdown, but then once you saw him on the ground, and I was like, oh, that was a good stoppage. Yeah, it was bad, man. It was a big knockout for Edwin De Los Santos, which is what he needed. Definitely didn't want to leave it in the hands of the judges like he did in the last fight and lose the fight. Main event, Ardreal Holmes coming off a layoff, taking on Vernon Brown. It was a pretty good fight. I think Ardreal Holmes, took the early rounds, boxing on the outside, using his jab.
Mm-hmm.
Vernon Brown would have some success towards the middle rounds and, win some rounds. But towards the end of it, last couple of rounds, it was a 10-round fight. Holmes would, go back to being more defensively responsible and catching Brown with the counters and things like that. Pretty good fight. Ardreal Holmes takes a unanimous decision, and not the most entertaining main event, but it was okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that was Shobox for you. And on Saturday during the day for us, over in I believe UK. I can't remember. England, yeah. So you had Leigh Woods taking on Micheal Conlan on Dazn. Dazn always, y'all know me, man. I love Dazn. Always good for good card here and there, especially when it's like kind of under the radar.
Yeah.
This fight wasn't on making like top 10 lists on ESPN, to watch anything like that. So it's all good though. I checked it out because I knew it was gonna be some good action, and it was, man. You had rising undefeated lightweight contender Gary Cooley taking on former world champion Miguel Vasquez, former champ now turned journeyman, I guess you could say. And he dominated the fight, man. Gary Cooley, dropping Vasquez like 3 times, I think, in the fight, knocking him out in the 5th. Yeah, it was bad.
Nice.
In women's boxing, you had in the next fight you had Erica Farias taking on Sandy Ryan. Sandy Ryan was undefeated prospect. She's 3-0 with 2 knockouts. She loses a split decision. Scores were 95-94 and 97-94 for Farias and 97-93 for Ryan. So, yeah, first L for Sandy Ryan. It was a close fight. And staying in the women's boxing, former champion Terry Harper. Remember, she got knocked out by Baumgartner in a really crazy knockout. Not avenging, but coming back from that, she beats Emilia Abenyada in a 10-round unanimous decision, one-sided bout.
That's pretty dope though that they had some of the female fights on that card.
Yeah, back to back.
Nice.
And then moving on to the main event, Leigh Woods making his first defense of his WBA featherweight title against number 1 ranked undefeated Micheal Conlan. And you remember how I felt about this fight, man. I was texting you all day.
Yeah.
This shit was crazy, man. So in the first round, these guys, man, they both come out to fight, and Leigh Woods is the aggressor. Micheal Conlan, he's the slicker fighter, and I think Conlan was winning the round. It was a close round, but towards the end, man, he catches Leigh Woods with a couple left hands, and the last one that he caught him with, like at the last second of the round, he drops him, and he's hurt. And, he's lucky that it happened at the end of the round because he looked really badly hurt. In the second round, Conlan is catching him with the same left hands. He's not dropping him, but nailing him with, flurries and doing what he has to do. He's looking like the champion in this fight.
Yeah.
Although Leigh Woods was the one doing the walking down, but Conlan was the one, really landing the shots that mattered. Towards the middle of the fight, I think momentum started to swing a little bit. There were times where Woods would catch Conlan with some shots here and there. I think he hurt him like in the 8th or 9th with a body shot. But what really made this fight so dramatic is towards the championship rounds, the champion who was seemingly losing the fight was really starting to put it on. And in the 11th round, he gets he scores a knockdown. Now, Conlan slipped, and he's arguing to the ref that it was a slip.
Yeah.
And he definitely slipped, but he also definitely got rocked, or I'm sorry, caught with a right hand. So, I don't know. You can think what you want about that, but it's a knockdown.
The ref called it a knockdown?
Yeah, he called it a knockdown,
right.
And it's gonna make a real impact on the scorecards.
Yeah.
If we got to the scorecards, you know what I'm saying. So the 12th round comes in, and Conlan starts to do what he has to do. Leigh Woods is walking him down, and he backs into the ropes, and eats an overhand right and gets knocked out on his feet. But Woods is landing hooks and he falls out the ring, bro.
Yeah, it was crazy.
He's so all right. So he's winning the fight. He scores a knockdown in the first round. He's winning the fight. He gets knocked down, but I think he's still winning the fight on the scorecards. And he gets knocked out. He gets knocked out the ring, bro. And it was crazy.
It looked like it was slow motion the way he fell.
Yeah, because he was already like out on his feet.
Yeah, like that.
So he
that
kind of
first
just
punch.
like, oh man, it was insane. And like referee waves it off. You know, if you do fall out the ring, and you're conscious, you have double the amount. You have 20 seconds to get back in the ring.
Yeah, he wasn't getting back up.
My God, that was like the craziest, most dramatic fight I've ever seen, bro. Like,
and the way he fell out, it almost like he just like disappeared. Like you didn't even see his body anymore. Like,
like
he just fell out of the ropes, and
it's like he fell off a building.
Like he went like straight to hell or something. Like that shit was crazy.
Realms, man. Yeah, man. Like that to me, it's early, but that so far, that's fight of the year and knockout of the year.
Yeah,
that was intense, man. Yeah. Oh man,
that was a good one to watch. Yeah.
Really, really fun. We posted that video in our story. We'll probably post it on the feed too, man, so we can watch it over and over again. That was insane.
Word.
But I think that was all for boxing. I was watching some Bellator. Bellator had the 276.
Yep.
Adam Borks versus Mads Burnell. Those guys. It's a pretty decent card. I didn't watch the whole thing. I saw that Godzi Rabinanov taking on J.J. Wilson. He defeated him by unanimous decision, 30-27 and 29-28. Two of the judges had it 29-28. Johnny Emlin, I watched this fight. He took on John Salter. Very one-sided bout in the strikes in the ground. Yeah, he dominated.
Yeah.
Johnny Emlin. So I think he wants to take on what's the champion? Musasi?
Musasi, yeah, middleweight,
Yeah.
That guy's a problem.
Yeah.
He's been champ for a while now. He's one of the guys that I would love to see come over to UFC.
Right.
Musasi, because he's definitely like, elite talent, for sure.
Yeah, and then you had Phil Davis was on that card taking on Julius Anglicus.
Mm-hmm.
He dominated that fight too. A lot of these fights were pretty one-sided.
Yeah.
Obviously he dominated with the wrestling. He just kept taking dude down. And he took him down once in the first and once in the second round. And once he got him down in those 2 rounds, there was nothing that Anglicus could do. Third round, Anglicus was more competitive, but Phil Davis just pretty much anytime he wanted to take him down, he did it. And then he controlled it. Went for a few submission attempts, didn't get anything, but got the decision. Won every round. And in the main event, a little bit of the same thing, except in terms of striking. Adam Borks, just outstriking the fuck out of Mads Burnell. Burnell doing what he had to do, though. He had some clean work. You could say he won a round. I think like that second or third round, it was a little closer. But for the most part, it was a strike fest.
Nice.
Strike fest, isn't that what Bellator used to be called?
Strike Force.
Strike Force.
Yeah.
It still works.
Yeah.
Nah, but it was a cool, fun fight. They had a little dance battle in the 4th round. I think Burnell took some punches and then he did like a little, I don't know, like a Harlem Shake or type shit.
Yeah.
And then Borks took some shots right after, and then he did like a little shimmy, and they dabbed up, and it was kind of funny. Good fights, but a lot of one-sided action with pretty much all these fights.
Yeah. It didn't seem like there's a whole lot of big names on this Bellator card.
I think to me, like Phil Davis was just because him beating, coming off that win against what's that dude?
Romero. Yeah.
So he's won a couple fights now.
Yeah. I think Romero got another fight coming up now in Bellator.
Let's take that out.
But yeah, overall, it was a pretty big weekend for MMA. Overall, like
Yeah, it was a lot of action.
I was kind of surprised, and then I realized like Wednesday or Thursday that Eagle FC had another card this weekend. On Friday night, so the main event was Diego Sanchez versus Kevin Lee, and a new weight class, super lightweight, 165. I wonder if they're gonna have a. Oh yeah, actually, well, I'm sure they'll have a regular lightweight at 155, and they'll have super lightweight 165. Which is pretty good for guys like Kevin Lee because he struggled. You know, he would bounce in between lightweight and welterweight.
Yeah,
because that's a big jump from 155 to 170. It goes in UFC. So this 165 weight class is gonna be, I think, perfect for guys like that. Kevin Lee, where he was kind of too small for 170 and like too big for 155. And Diego Sanchez, we've seen him from the Ultimate Fighter. I think he was on the first Ultimate Fighter, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he won it, but I think he was on the first season of it. This guy kind of seemed like he kind of lost his mind a little bit. Last couple fights, he had like some trainer where he literally only had like one guy in his corner, and like they would show like their like fucking open workouts and stuff, and they were just doing like the weirdest things. Like I don't know, it was really weird. He's getting criticized a lot. I think he ultimately left the coach because of all the crazy backlash he was getting about it. But yeah, let me see what else was on this card. So there was a bantamweight fight. Ray Borg defeated Ricky Bandejas. Split decision, 3-round fight. Ray Borg's a UFC guy. He's pretty good. He was a flyweight for a long time. And then the co-main, this is pretty crazy. The co-main was actually the like a belt championship fight for the heavyweight and Eagle FC. Heavyweight champ Rizvan Kuniev took on Anthony Hamilton, not the R&B singer.
Oh, that sucks.
That would have been dangerous for him. But yeah, so this guy's pretty big. Kuniev looks like a fucking mess. I mean, obviously they're heavyweights, but he gets the it's a quick fight. He gets the first round submission, guillotine choke, a minute and 17 seconds into the first round. So yeah, Eagle FC keeps rolling. Yeah, their whole production, I think, is what is most impressive right now.
Yeah.
Like, obviously they're slowly getting bigger names. I'm sure in probably even just a year, I think we're gonna be surprised at some of the names that end up signing over there.
I was surprised with Henry Cejudo and the guys commentating. Like, they had a fun like the chemistry. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like the way they spoke to each other, they were like joking with each other certain times. Like I don't know. I remember when there was like a fight where there was an eye poke and they had to stop the fight for a little bit.
Yeah.
And they didn't stop the clock. And Henry Cejudo kept talking about it, like, "Hey guys, they gotta put the time back in the clock." And he kept saying it, and like they're like, "Oh, that's Henry Cejudo crying about the clock," and just I don't know. I like that kind of I guess monologue or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Like even before, the day before they had again. Like the big sit down with all of them in the octagon or in their cage, like Khabib, Henry Cejudo, Kamaru Usman, Chael Sonnen, and even that was fun to watch. And I think they're just all friends, really. I think because I'm pretty sure Khabib, Usman, and Henry Cejudo, they all have the same manager. I forget his name, but they all have the same. They all have the same manager, so they're all pretty close. If you follow them, like they're usually all around each other a lot. So that's pretty cool that he pretty much gave them all jobs and even for them to take that opportunity to kind of put Henry Cejudo got a pretty big name right now. I would say like for him to take that job and be like, all right, I'm gonna be because I think he's like the head commentator. He's like the one going into the cage afterwards and like doing the one-on-one post fight interviews and stuff. So that's cool. And Henry Cejudo, like you say, he's entertaining. He's like perfect for that, really. Like,
yeah,
he really is.
And he gives really good insight too.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I love about like listening to him like on his little Instagram clips and stuff. Like he says really like he articulates himself very well. Like he'll explain technique and stuff like really, like really kind of dumb it down so we can understand it. And then he'll throw a joke in there, a backhanded compliment or something. You know what I mean? Like he's a character. He's trying to come back. Obviously he was trying to get the Volkanovski fight, and he couldn't get it. And now I heard him say this week that he's willing to fight Max Holloway in order to earn the featherweight title fight.
Nice.
That would be a really good fight. I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. He had talked about fighting Max before. I mean, Max is a guy that a lot of people, have a trouble, cracking that code. Volkanovski is the only one that's been able to do it. So I would much rather see that fight than see, Max fight Volkanovski again. So hopefully that happens. That'd be awesome. But, Cejudo keeps saying that I guess Dana don't want to pay him because, what's it called? Like the smaller guys, the lighter weight guys, they don't get paid as much. But I think Cejudo is the first star, I would say, like right, like the first flyweight star, even more so than fucking Mighty Mouse. Like Mighty Mouse dominated for so many years, nobody really gave a fuck how good he was.
Right.
And then Cejudo took over, and he kind of became, a star. So yeah, I hope Cejudo comes back. So yeah, that was the Eagle FC. They got a couple cards coming up. Oh yeah, I had noticed this one because they did a face-off this weekend. Junior Dos Santos, UFC veterans coming back and taking on Yorgan De Castro, another ex-UFC guy. That should be a good fight, man. I mean, hopefully Dos Anjos is well prepared for this because I know De Castro is pretty dangerous. The guy got he could knock anybody out. I mean, a heavyweight, I guess anybody could really.
That's next week?
No, this is
May 20th.
Yeah, that's not till May 20th. They had just announced it this week. But yeah. So yeah, that was that. And then of course we had the UFC fight night. I was also very surprised to see some of the names on here that, I mean, not like huge names, but just interesting fights that I didn't really know about. So start with a couple of the prelims. We had Chris Moutinho versus Guido Canetti. Chris Moutinho, this was his second fight in the UFC. The first fight was he fought Sean O'Malley. He took that fight on
mollywopped.
Yep, he took that fight on short notice and just got fucking beat for fucking 3 rounds. I think he did end up stopping him, right? I forgot. I thought it went the distance, but I think Herb Dean stopped it like with 30 seconds left. Remember, and everybody was like, "Well, why the fuck are you gonna stop it with 30 seconds left when you just let him take the beating of his life?"
Yeah.
But in that fight, he was moving forward the whole time. Like he was taking everything that O'Malley was giving him. O'Malley, I don't think he really got that much of power. He's just one of those guys that got like, it's like the accuracy and the timing that that just fucking that knocks people out. So yeah, this is his second fight in the UFC. Trying to redeem himself. 29-year-old kid, Guido Canetti, Argentinian fighter. UFC veteran. He's 42 years old. I think they said he was the oldest fighter on the card last night.
Wow.
And both fighters came out pretty aggressive. Canetti seemed to have way more power. He was throwing real heavy shots. He was trying to lure in Moutinho, and you could tell Moutinho kind of was kind of falling for it. You could tell he just wanted to get in there. And both guys land some pretty good shots, and then Canetti just lands a really big hook. And it looked just like when O'Malley was beating him up, and he just starts unloading combinations and just landing everything.
Wow.
Landing everything, but with a lot more power. And then he doesn't go down, but he's pretty much out on his feet. Like after a flurry of punches, which they pretty much all land right to the head. He's out on his feet, like his arms like stretched straight out, like fighters do, like when they're on the ground.
Right.
He did that like standing up, and then you could see his eyes were all over the place, and the ref stopped it. At first, I thought it was kind of maybe an early stoppage, but when they showed the other angle and you saw his face, you could tell he was out. And like the way he did it, the way he put his arms out, it almost looked like he was trying to push him away. But when they showed the other angle, you could tell that his arms were just stiff, and he stopped it, man. So he was able to do what Sean O'Malley wasn't able to do.
Nice.
Well, I guess he did stop him. I guess O'Malley did stop him, but he got it done early in the first round.
I was gonna say much earlier.
I think like 2 minutes in, like it was really fast. So Moutinho gets stopped again. That was a tough fight, man. Canetti's a veteran, you know what I mean? Like they kind of put him in 2 tough situations with the short notice fight against O'Malley, and then this one against such a hard-nosed veteran like that. Yeah, that was tough. But good to see him get good to see Canetti get a win, at this stage in his career. So that was a good fight, quick one. Another good one was a woman's flyweight fight, I always follow Sabina Mazo. She's a 24-year-old Colombian fighter. I wasn't aware she was fighting either. She took on another pretty good prospect coming up, Miranda Maverick. Both 24 years old. So, both young prospects coming up, both coming off, really tough losses. So, both needed this win. Sabina Mazo is 5'7", and Maverick was a 5'3", so she looked Mazo looked way taller. She had a, significant reach advantage. Also interesting, I think she recently changed gyms, Sabina Mazo, because she had Glover Teixeira in her corner, a light heavyweight champ. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. He was in her corner, and kind of makes sense that she would, go that direction because I think she got submitted in her last. She has like a Muay Thai background, so she's been struggling with, the wrestling, obviously. A lot of fighters. That's the story of a lot of fighters right now. So it's cool to see, Teixeira in her corner, working with working on the jiu-jitsu. So, fight starts. Mazo looks really good on the feet. She knows how to use the distance and, the reach advantage really well. Landing kicks and, long jabs. And Maverick, obviously her game plan is to take her down. She's a, pretty short and husky girl. Like, she looks really strong. Yeah. And that was pretty much, what she did, man. She took Mazo down at will, basically. Like, it almost looked like too easy. Like, I was surprised. Like, it didn't look like really fast takedowns, shots. She was just kind of grabbing her legs and fucking picking her up and putting her down. And, Mazo did a pretty good job of, not accepting any position on the ground. Like, she was working. She wasn't closing her guard. She was, like, trying to throw up submissions. She almost had an arm bar at one point. It was pretty close. But Miranda, defended pretty well, got out of it. And Mazo was able to get up. She was able to get up a couple times, and Miranda just kept taking her down. So, she wins the first round pretty easily, I would say. Miranda Maverick. Second round, pretty much more the same. You could see Mazo a little bit more, a little bit more urgency, trying to, being more active with the striking. But Miranda catches a kick and takes her right back down, and then Mazo tries to scramble, and fucking Miranda just like wraps her arm around her neck, and she has like this rear naked choking like even before like she has her back. It was pretty crazy. She has a choking like right away, and then she like locks her legs around her, and gets the rear naked choke, and Mazo taps, and that was it. Nice. So big win for Miranda Maverick. Second straight loss for Sabina Mazo. So but it was a good fight. I'm sure we'll see a lot more of both of them. And then onto the main card, another fight I didn't know about. Middleweight fight. Alex Pereira took on Bruno Silva. Alex Pereira, second UFC fight. This is the Glory kickboxing champion, who beat Izzy twice in kickboxing. 34 years old. I witnessed his UFC debut at 268 when I was there. Right. That was awesome. When he had the flying knee knockout or something, and that was a fight that a lot of people forget that I forget the guy that he fought, but he had taken him down, and I think Pereira was on his back like that whole first round, and then the second round is when he knocked him out, he had that knee. So because a lot of people were saying that he wasn't, he hasn't been on the ground and stuff, but it's not really true. He kind of has been. He's 5-1 in MMA, so he doesn't have a whole lot of experience. Bruno Silva, 32-year-old fighter, way more experience, with a record of 22-7. He's also a knockout artist of his own. He's had a lot of knockouts in the UFC, but he's also had a lot of losses. Glover Teixeira was also in Alex Pereira's corner, which was very, very interesting. Nice. That's kind of scary, really. If you're Israel looking at that, like, right. That's pretty crazy. Glover Teixeira, probably one of the best like MMA jiu-jitsu guys. That really, translate the jiu-jitsu and MMA. I wasn't aware Alex Pereira was fighting. This fight was really close, man. It was a pretty competitive. Alex Pereira gets the unanimous decision win. But Bruno was really tough, man. He was landing a lot of big shots of his own. I wouldn't say he definitely was hurt a couple times, but he wasn't dropped at all. He recovered well. Really impressive. And Pereira was hitting him with everything. Like towards the end, he was throwing the knees and everything. Like Pereira was definitely going for the knockout. He definitely threw everything at him. So, just shows how tough that Bruno Silva is.
Yeah.
He did take him down a couple times. Bruno, I think he was 2 for 8 for takedowns. So he got him down twice, but wasn't able to do much of it. Pereira got that really big frame like Izzy. They're like he's 6'4". So yeah, Bruno Silva had a little trouble keeping him down. Wasn't able to really do much when he did, but it was really good. It was really an entertaining fight. Alex Pereira gets the unanimous decision win. This is just gonna be awesome. Like watching this like whole story come up. Like him build his way up, and Izzy, like his whole thing is like the story. He loves this. He loves he'd be making his own promos and shit on his Instagram for his fights and shit. So this is like gonna be like the ultimate thing, like the last boss he has to face in the video game. Shit. Like this guy's gonna come back from his past. To fight him one last time. Like I can't wait for that to happen. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Good story.
Yeah, hell yeah. And then we had another fight, lightweight fight. Drew Dober took on Terrence McKinney. Terrence McKinney fought just a few weeks ago when Islam Makhachev fought Bobby Green.
Yeah.
Terrence McKinney fought that night. He had that really quick knockout. And, he turned it around and took this short notice fight against Drew Dober. I don't remember who Drew Dober was supposed to fight. But his opponent, dropped out, and Terrence McKinney took the fight, I think, on a week notice or something. And this fight was crazy. It didn't last very long, but it was wild. Like Terrence McKinney came out right away. He lands like a step-in knee. Like it's pretty crazy how long he is, because he doesn't even jump with it. He literally just like steps into him and knees him in the face, like just standing there.
Yeah, it
was crazy. And he drops Dober. And, he jumps all over him, lands a bunch of big punches. Dober keeps popping back up, and McKinney's landing, huge punches. He keeps dropping them, and Dober keeps getting up. Like, ref could have stopped at any moment. It looks like Dober kept, like, going out and then waking up when he would hit the floor and just kept popping back up. It was pretty wild. And that goes on for, like, a good 30 seconds. He drops him probably, like, 3-4 times. And, McKinney's power seems crazy. Like, he seems to really be hurting him. And Dober survives, and then McKinney's body language just completely changes. Like you could tell he completely empties the tank. Like he was throwing knees, throwing punches, and Dober survives, and then McKinney, you could tell he's really tired. He goes for a takedown, and then Dober lands pretty much like the same exact knee that he got hit with. He lands his own knee, and he hurts McKinney. McKinney goes down, and Dober gets on top of him and starts grounding and pounding, and McKinney kind of just covers up his face, and the ref stops it. So it was like it was crazy, and Dober was fucked up. Like after a minute in, like his face, like both of his eyes were swelled up, like he was cut.
Wow,
it was wild. So McKinney basically emptied the gas tank on him, and Dober survived. But man, that really could have been stopped. Like I think the ref could have stopped it earlier when McKinney dropped Dober those 3-4 times. I think he could have stopped it. So really good performance by Terrence McKinney. I wonder if maybe taking on short notice, maybe he didn't have the full gas tank.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But
being overtrained and all that.
Yeah, maybe
that could be it.
And Dober's a veteran. He's been around for a long time. His last fight was against Islam Makhachev, as well. He lost to him, obviously. But it was a good fight. Dober has been around for a while. I don't know if he's ever gonna get back up there to the top 10 or not. But McKinney definitely got a bright future. He's only 27 years old. I'm sure we're gonna see a lot more of him. Then the next fight, we had light heavyweight fight. Khalil Roundtree versus Carl Roberson. Khalil Rountree's been around for a while too. He's 32. Carl Roberson's 31. So this was light heavyweight. Carl Roberson, I think this was his first fight at light heavyweight. He was coming up from middleweight, so he's a little undersized. He weighed in at 203, so he probably barely had to cut weight. This fight was pretty crazy the way it ended. The first round, it was competitive, but they were both mostly filling each other out. Both guys kind of landed some shots, but nothing too big. And then the second round, Roundtree just switches it on and just, he acts like fucking Roberson stole something from him.
Nice. And
just goes crazy. He lands a big right, knocks him down, follows it with a bunch of ground and pound. And then he does something I never seen before. He kind of gets off him and then kicks him to the body while Roberson's down.
Yeah.
Which the announcer said that is legal. I guess you can kick to the body when the opponent's down. Obviously you can't kick or knee to the head. We know that, but you could do it to the body. So he kicks him to the body so hard it sounded like he broke a rib or something. And then Roberson gets up right after that, and he gets hit with a couple punches. But I think it's the body. I think it's that body kick that makes him fold, because he kind of gets up right after the kick, and he takes a couple more punches, but then he just folds down, and he's just like on his knees, like with his head down. The ref stops it, and Roberson stays in that position. So I think it was the body kick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it was definitely that body kick that made him fold. But yeah, Khalil Roundtree just went crazy on him. Like that what was the first minute pretty much of the second round, just hits the switch and finishes him really quick.
Yeah, I was pretty gangster.
For sure. And then the next fight was a featherweight fight. Sodiq Youssef took on Alex Caceres. I didn't really watch. I mean, I watched it, but this was kind of boring fight. Nothing too much happened. Sodiq Youssef got the decision win over Alex Caceres. And then the co-main was Marlon Moraes versus Song Yadong, bantamweight fight. This fight was pretty good. We both watched this one right before we did this. Song Yadong, you could tell, got a lot of power, man. That kid throws hard and he throws fast. Marlon Moraes, this guy's a veteran. He's been around a long time. He's fought everybody. Lately, he's been definitely going down. Definitely been going down. He's been getting knocked out a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, first round seems pretty competitive. Both guys are landing pretty good. Song Yadong is definitely throwing a lot harder. And then Song Yadong hits him with like a combination. I think he hits him with like a left and then a right uppercut, and just puts Moraes like to sleep, puts him right out.
It was bad.
Yadong kind of does the right thing and doesn't jump on him right away. Kind of waits for the refs to stop it, so it kind of gets the walk off TKO. Yeah, it was pretty bad. He stiffened up. I think this puts Song Yadong at hold on. He's ranked number 14, and Moraes is 10. Oh, he's only 24 years old, fighting out of China. Yeah, hell of a knockout. I know he fought Cheeto before, and he actually beat Cheeto by decision, but that was like, pretty well regarded as a really bad decision. Cheeto I think, definitely won that fight. I think that was probably his last fight. And Song Yadong's been putting together some nice wins after that.
Yeah.
And then the main event, we had Tiago Santos versus Magamet Ankalaev, Russian fighter coming up. Top prospect, 17-1. He's been pretty much knocking out everybody. Tiago Santos, he's been around for a while, 38 years old. This guy started his career at welterweight at 170. Now he's up to light heavyweight. He went from welterweight to middleweight. Now he's light heavyweight.
Nice.
And I think that's where he definitely always belonged, because he's huge. I can't believe he ever made it 170. That guy's massive. This fight wasn't too exciting. It was one of those chess matches where both guys were kind of waiting to counter, and with big guys like this, one wrong move, you zig when you wanted to zag, and you can go to sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, both were just being super patient, throwing the power shots when they thought they saw openings, but nothing too crazy. I don't think anybody got dropped, and I don't think there was any takedowns or anything. It was, like I said, it wasn't a whole lot of action. I guess Ankalaev obviously got the better of him. He got the decision win, but it wasn't super convincing, I would say. I would just say maybe because of pressure. He was definitely backing up Santos. He had him backing up against the cage the whole time. So yeah, Ankalaev gets the win. I'm excited to see him fight some other guys in that division. Light heavyweight division is pretty much wide open. No disrespect to Shara, but I don't think he's gonna be champ that much longer. But it's good to see him stepping into that coach role. I guess he has his own gym now in Connecticut, and he's got like Sabina Mazo was fighting under him, and
Nice.
Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira is a big a big prospect. I'm sure he's helping him out a lot, and I'm sure Pereira is helping Glover out a lot. With the striking, because that fight he got coming up against Yuri Prochaska, that's a really tough fight for Glover, man. That kid's a hell of a striker. So Alex Pereira is actually probably the perfect guy to help him train for that. I could see him really being able to emulate his style a little bit. But yeah, that was pretty much it for the UFC card. Not bad card. Let's see what we got next week real quick. Oh yeah, next week is the London card. Alexander Volkov is taking on Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall's English fighter. Heavyweight prospect coming up. He's been knocking out a lot of people, so I think he'll definitely make easy work of Volkov. And then we see Dan Hooker coming back down to featherweight, taking on Arnold Allen. That should be a good fight. And then Paddy the Baddy, his second UFC fight, taking on Rodrigo Vargas. That should be a good fight. Yeah, Gunnar Nelson, Paul Craig. Yes, yeah, should be a pretty good card. Usually the London cards are always pretty good. They got a lot of good fighters out there. Yeah. Even I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of. I can almost guarantee, or I'm gonna say this now. I think there's gonna be one English fighter that we never heard of that is gonna have a crazy knockout or something.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the following weekend after that, March 26th, we got Curtis Blades and Chris Daukaus.
Cool.
Yeah, so a lot of fights coming up. Yeah. What else we got? What else? You got anything else?
Yeah, I mean, next week we have a couple fights next week. Edgar Berlanga taking on Steve Rolls. Xander Zayas on the undercard, taking on Quincy Leveas. Same day. That's on ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
And on DAZN, you have Virgil Ortiz taking on Michael McKinson. And some other stuff. Week after that, the return of Miguel Berchelt. He's coming back off that loss to Oscar Valdez, who, has the big showdown against Shakur Stevenson on the 30th. I mentioned Terrell Gausha having a fight. That's on the 26th against Tim Tszyu, son of Kasa Tszyu.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joseph Adorno is on the fight, on the card against Michael Rivera. Oh, that should be a good one.
Yeah.
Rivera, Dominican guy, I believe. Yeah, that should be a good little scrap. I see Austin Trout. I just saw it. Has a bout in Dubai. So it's one of those cards. Savannah Marshall taking on Femken Hermans for her WBO title on April 2nd. April 9th, the return of Michaela Mayer taking on Jennifer Hahn. Same day on DAZN, Triple G taking on Ryota Murata.
Oh, yeah.
So, same day, Ryan Garcia taking on Emmanuel Tago. Return of Ryan Garcia. Also on the card, Marlon Esparza defending her WBC flyweight title against Naoka Fuika. Man, it's hard to say these names.
Yeah.
And then, April 9th, man, a lot of fights. Erickson Lubin taking on Sebastian Fundora. Well, that should be a good fight. Tony Harrison versus Sergio Garcia on the undercard. Should be a good little card on Showtime.
Yeah.
And then more action on, April 16th, the week after that, you have Errol Spence, man, the return of Errol Spence taking on your Dennis Ugas. Errol Spence supposed to fight Pacquiao and got the eye injury. Your Dennis Ugas took care of that for him, and now they're going to scrap. On the co-main of that, you have Isaac Cruz. If you remember, he fought Tank.
Yep.
Had a good fight with Tank. Yorkis Gamboa is going to be his opponent that night. Conor Benn making his return on April 16th, going against Chris Van Heerden. Don't know much about that guy, but I think this is just another stay busy fight for Conor Benn. They're trying to get him somebody like Kell Brook, maybe.
Yeah.
But you know who else fought Van Heerden was Errol Spence. And Errol Spence fought Kell Brook, and Errol Spence also fought Chris Algieri, who Conor Benn fought. So
right.
Conor Benn might be chasing that Errol Spence smoke. April 23rd, man, Tyson Fury, Dillian White, heavyweight title fight. for Fury's WBC title.
Yep.
ESPN pay-per-view. I can't wait for that. I already mentioned the Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez fight. On that same day, you have Katie Taylor taking on Amanda Serrano for the undisputed lightweight women's lightweight undisputed title. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Vargas versus Liam Smith on the undercard. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I mean, I can keep going. Canelo taking on Dimitri Bivol. Single Demount weekend. A lot of stuff. I'm gonna stop there though because I want to address something. We mentioned on the last show.
Couple shows really.
Well, I know specifically on the last show I mentioned Anthony Joshua and how he's looking for an opponent and how he should absolutely, positively, without a shadow of a doubt, fight Deontay Wilder. And dude, it seemed like no sooner than like the same day we put the show out, like the rumors just went.
Who was it that said
haywire?
Who was it?
Everybody. Like, well, Anthony Joshua said it in an interview or some shit.
Oh, he did?
And then Eddie Hearn. Well, no. Okay, I think Anthony Joshua said to Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn said it in an interview. But I mean, it's coming out, and it's just like, so he has 4 people that he wants to fight. The number one guy he wants to fight is Wilder, but he's also willing to fight not Usyk. He's obviously not going to fight Usyk, because of what's going on in Russia, or in Ukraine. And Usyk fighting for his homeland of Ukraine. So they're not going to have that rematch. Luis Ortiz, Otto Wallin, and Joe Joyce, or Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is the main guy he wants to fight.
Yeah, obviously that's the biggest fight.
Biggest one. It's a fight that should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
Should have happened. Second best time for it to happen is right now.
When they were both champions.
But second best time for it to happen is right now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They are both in the same position. You know what I'm saying? They're both like, they need that career-defining win to come back. The only thing that sucks is I don't want to see, if Wilder wins, I don't want to see him fight Fury again.
Oh, no, I don't. You think they'll do that?
I mean, if he beats...
I guess if he has a spectacular knockout
I guess if he beats AJ, he'd be first in line to fight Usyk. But if he beats Usyk, he'd have to fight Fury again.
Yeah. How do you think that goes, though? Like, how do you think that goes compared to that fight happening when we wanted it to happen to now?
I think... See, this is the thing. I think AJ stands a better chance now. Because
than before?
I don't think Wilder's going to have the same confidence.
I agree with that 100%.
I think, and I think AJ... I think earlier, Wilder had enough, way too much confidence, or not too much confidence. I think AJ had too much confidence and was kind of cocky, before the Andy Ruiz thing, And I think, if Andy Ruiz did it, Wilder would have absolutely done it. So, and that was a Wilder that literally just sparked out Dominic Breazeale, if you remember, in that first round. So, yeah, that timing would have been horrible for AJ. Right now, far better. I still think Wilder beats him, man. It's just hard to imagine AJ not getting caught by that right hand.
And we've seen AJ get hurt in almost every fight. Even fights that he wins, he gets hurt.
Yeah, man. These guys, he really, that's that Amir Khan shit, man. Like, he just gets touched and gets hurt.
Yeah.
It sucks, man, because I love AJ, man. He's a great fighter.
And like you said, it's hard to imagine Wilder not landing once. Like, he even landed on Fury a couple times.
Exactly. If he could drop Fury 4 times in 3 fights, I'm sure he'll But, yeah, man. But that's crazy, though. That's like another thing that we called, man. Like,
that's crazy how much what that fight means or represents has changed so much. Like, that would have been like the baddest man on the planet type shit. Like, the 2 champions unifying.
Right.
And now it's like these 2 guys that both like desperately need wins.
It's like the fight for number 3.
Yeah.
Because number 1 and 2 is Fury and Usyk, depending on how you look at it. But
right, pretty much right now.
Nah, but dude, I'm telling you, man, it's a lot of stuff that we're calling. And if we just had like a bigger platform, we'd be making some fucking noise, man.
For sure.
We'd be calling shit. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Phone calls and shit, bro. We'd be cold calling all that, man. So Yeah, man. Still trying to figure out what Kambosos is gonna do because I don't think same thing with his situation. He's not gonna be able to fight Lomachenko. Lomachenko, same boat as Usyk
Yeah.
over there in the Ukraine. Hopefully he fights Devin Haney though,
Yeah.
because that's the fight he should. I don't know. That's how I
Yeah,
feel.
we've seen that little interview with them when they're like talking so much shit back to each other. Like,
Yeah.
it seemed like they got a lot of animosity between each other.
Yeah, well, Kambosos said that he was gonna make the fight happen, and then he went with Lomachenko.
Yeah.
So then Devin was basically saying like, "All right, you don't want to fight me, you're scared," saying what he has to say, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah.
And now that Lomachenko can't fight, are you gonna wait for Ryan Garcia? Like,
Yeah.
come on, man, just fight Devin.
Word.
You beat Devin, then you can fight Ryan. Use Devin as use that as the motivation. Because I do think Ryan Garcia makes more money. I do think that fight makes more money. And I do think it's an easier fight, too. I think Ryan Garcia is an easier fight, especially if he was coming back from the mental health and all that stuff,
I'm sure Ryan Garcia is going to try to get an easier fight for his fight back.
Well, yeah, he's taking on Emmanuel Tago, but, we'll see. We'll see. Emmanuel Tago is promoted by Lou DiBella, I believe, who also promotes Kambosos. So we'll see where that goes. But that's really all I got. I was kind of fishing for some extra topics here.
I got a couple things in the MMA world. So a couple fights that were announced. Chito Vera is gonna take on Rob Font. They're gonna headline a fight night April 30th. That should be a really good fight, man. I'm excited to see Chito work his way up. He's number 7. Rob Font is number 6. I think Rob Font lost to Jose Aldo, right?
Yeah, Aldo.
Aldo fucking. That was that fight that Aldo had that he looked like.
Yeah, rejuvenated.
Yeah, for real. And that's Rob Font who he beat up Cody Garbrandt to get up there, and so Rob Font is no slouch, man. That was very impressive the way Aldo beat him. So he's ranked number 6. So 7-6, just makes sense. That's a big fight for Chito. That should be a fun fight, man. Both guys are tough and both guys are really active. That should be a really good fight. And then also, also they announced officially Michael Chandler and Tony Ferguson for UFC 274. That should be a really good fight. And then also, is this also 274? Oh no, on 275, Robert Whittaker is gonna take on Marvin Vittori.
Nice.
That should be a really good fight. That's pretty much gonna be for second and third place in that middleweight division. That's pretty crazy, right? Izzy fought both of those guys. And beat them both. And these guys now just seem like more motivated than ever. Like they both have like that chip on their shoulder. Or it's crazy because in the post-fight interviews they kind of both said similar things, like in just like kind of in the lines of like, we're gonna do whatever we have to do to get back in front of Izzy, like, and they're gonna pretty much just try to take off everybody's head that gets in front of them. So kind of crazy that now they're gonna go against each other. Like,
right.
I don't know if this one, I don't know if it automatically gives them the third fight. I wouldn't really want to see either of those trilogies. Yeah. But I think that should be a good fight. Both guys seem super motivated. They both have kind of similar styles where they're really tough guys. I wouldn't say either of them has crazy power. None of them is really a knockout artist. But it should be a good fight. What else happened? Oh yeah, Kayla Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
She re-signed with PFL. I guess she was in talks with Bellator and PFL, and then I guess the final thing was PFL matched whatever the final Bellator offer was or whatever.
Nice.
So she's gonna be one more year in PFL, which is good for her. I'm sure she's gonna get paid more, but I just don't know who she's gonna fight over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, unless they do some kind of cross promotional fight, because I guess the biggest fight, the biggest realistic fight for her right now is Cyborg. If she was assigned for Bellator, they would have made the Cyborg fight happen. And so I guess they're gonna try to get like what they were saying was they're gonna try to do like the first cross promotional fight with PFL and Bellator.
Do it.
I hope it happens, man. That'd be huge.
Dope.
That'd be huge. What else we got? Oh yeah, what was that? Bellator fight coming up. Patricio Pitbull is getting the rematch against AJ McKee.
Yeah.
AJ McKee beat him for the belt right, in their last fight.
In that first round, yeah.
Yep. And then because Pitbull I remember he was double champ, and then he lost this belt, and then he decided to vacate his other belt to focus on the training for the rematch against McKee.
And didn't his brother win that belt?
He's going he's going to fight for it. I don't know if it happened yet.
Oh, okay.
But his brother is going to fight for it. Patricky Pitbull, I think his name is, something like that.
That's weird.
So that should be good. AJ McKee's, great fighter. He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
He had a spectacular knockout in their first fight. Some other things. I think this might be the last thing I got. So Francis Ngannou, he finally got the date for his surgery, March 18th, and then he's officially gonna be out 9 months at least. I think until you can train again and shit. So,
right.
I posted on the feed. It's like they're definitely gonna do an interim title fight.
Yeah.
The one that everybody's talking about is John Jones and Stipe. That would be a hell of a fight. I think.
That's perfect, man. Just like he's gonna be gone for so long and make way for other people to like kind of rise up on their own.
Yep.
And then he comes back and then it's.
And it does seem like they're gonna work out the whatever they have to with Ngannou. Like supposedly he went to Cameroon like he usually does after his fights, and he had a meeting with Dana White right before he left, and then they had set up another meeting for right when he comes back. They're gonna meet again. So it seems like hopefully things are going in the right direction. I'm pretty confident that we'll see him back. So that's dope. That'd be crazy, man. Like I said, Francis and John is the fight we want to see. Like they have to give us. Dana White has to give us that fight. Like it's got to happen. I think John Jones does pretty good against Stipe, honestly. And with all this shit going on with John Jones, like I know we don't really talk about the shit that happens with him, but that's really just not. I hate to say it, but it's almost like good for him. Like that's what he's used to. He's used to like having this type of chaos like during his fights and during his camps and shit. Like
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, like that's kind of what he does. Like, I mean, it wouldn't be a John Jones fight if there wasn't like some kind of shit happening. You know what I mean? So yeah.
John Jones gonna John Jones.
Word, exactly. That's a meme. But yeah, I think that's all I got.
Word. Well, we thank you for tuning in. Once again, my name is Manny.
My name's Alberto.
This is the OnlyFights podcast, and we out.
Peace.
Peace.